Hello guys and welcome to another episode of the Car Doc. Now I've had the Toyota 86 for about 5 months or so now, which means I'm really starting to understand the goods, the bads, the ins and the outs of this car. Now I recommend anyone who's looking for an affordable rear-wheel drive sports car to look no further than a Toyota 86. But in order to tell you some more about why I love this car, we're going to go for a drive and we're going to have some fun. Hello guys and welcome to another episode. On today's episode, we're going to talk about all the things I like about this car. On the previous episode, I talked about the things that I found that were cons or minor negatives, but didn't really detract from the car as a whole. Now, let's start from the outside. I think this car is a stunning thing to behold. It's really handsome, it's really pretty. Toyota have done a great job. And now, I may be a little bit biased, but I really think that the facelift is the better job of the car. I think it looks prettier, a bit more handsome, and that little bit more muscular. The changes Toyota made between the pre-facelift and the facelift car that I'm driving today is to create an appearance of wideness, more aggression, which I think they've been successful in doing. Now, when you think about the way this car looks, it just makes you think of something sporty. Now, these are really common in Australia. Actually, it's one of the markets where it's sold very well, and I never tire of looking at them. Now, the second thing, and arguably the most important thing about this car that I really like, is the way it handles. It just, it handles so well. The steering is light, the steering is direct, the steering is communicative. It's an electric power steering unit, and usually they aren't so good at managing to convey what the front tires are doing into your hands. But in this car, it really feels alive and it's fun. The handling is nimble, the turn-in is quick, the chassis is capable. Like I said last time, more than capable for the 200 horsepower that this car has. I reckon it could do with about 100 more before you start stressing the chassis out. Driving this car makes you want to attack all these country roads. This car makes me want to take the long way to work. Seriously, sometimes I do, because I know that this car is that fun. I'll wake up a little bit early in the morning, I'll take the longer way to work, and when I arrive at the emergency department, they wonder, where the heck has this guy been? It's the total package. The gearbox is wonderful. The way it ties in with the steering and the throttle inputs makes this a joy to behold. It makes it a joy to drive. It genuinely is so much fun. This is the most fun you can have with 200 horsepower, period. Now, I know last time I whined about the interior, but actually in this car, I'm talking about the facelift in particular, the interior has had a little bit of a makeover. The steering wheel's got a couple of new buttons to make it easier to drive every day. Other than that, it feels like a nice place to sit. Yeah, it is a cheap interior, don't get me wrong, but that was the whole point of this car, to make it affordable. If you're not happy with an interior like this, you can always make your own modifications. Otherwise, you're probably looking at the wrong car. But for my purposes and my needs, this interior is a wonderful place to sit. Another thing I love about this car is the seating position. The seating position in this car is actually perfect. I've driven a lot of performance cars, and believe me when I say that this seating position is so good that I don't think there's anything else you drive this side of a Porsche or a Lotus that would compete, and that is really high praise. You sat low down in a comfortable snug seat, there's really good side bolstering for your legs and your back, and you're in a position where it feels like your eye line is just in touch with the road, just in touch with the horizon. The steering wheel is to hand perfectly, the pedals are perfectly spaced for heeling and towing, and the gearbox is just where you want it to be by your hand. Oh, bellissimo. Now, another thing about this car that I really love, which is kind of a direct contradiction to what I said before in regards to it being slow. Yes, I like the fact that it's a little bit slow because it's approachable. It means you can use all the power all the time. Now, fair enough, you might not get that thrust in the back that you're looking for with a faster car, but because this car is limited on power, it means that you're changing gear a lot. It means that you're active and involved. in running this motor, which makes it a great car for learning tracks, for learning autocross, for doing those kind of events. Because the car is light and because the car has a little bit of modest power, it means that you can learn how to make the most of the power in all situations, which is what you want from an entry-level sports car. You want a car that isn't too scary to drive for most people. One last thing I love about this car is that, weirdly, it's very tail happy. Very, very tail happy. I recently found out accidentally that when it rains and you put a tiny bit of throttle and slightly too much input into the corner, you might find yourself going not quite the way that you expected. Now, because I am a driving god, I managed to catch it, but then it gave me some inkling as to what this car is about. It's fun. It's just fun. If you haven't understood my love of this car, and if you haven't had even the smallest desire to get one yourself after watching this video, then honestly this car is probably not for you. But if even 1% of you has considered the idea of buying this car, go and drive one. Go and test drive one, because they are so fun. I can't get tired of driving it, and neither will you. Stay tuned till next time. Catch you later.